Hey there, hope all is well. Back at today with some more RTD News updates. And as you can tell from today's title, the world's least valuable currencies, we're going to be covering a few currencies from around the world as well as the most recent devaluation of the Venezuelan Bolivar and how it's impacting the lives of millions of people. And so I have about 3 or 4 articles that I want to share with you today, all of which deal with currency and how they impact people, primarily on what's happening currently in Venezuela. So let's dive into today's news. So today I want to share an article with you that I came across that actually is very telling of how this whole debt situation unravels, and it has to do with currencies being devalued to the point where they're basically, worthless pieces of paper that can't really purchase much. Article here from the Telegraph that came out about a week and a half ago, but I thought it was very, very telling on how globally the whole currency situation, if it's not really mainstream right now, is going to be very soon as people realize that everything they've worked hard for, people have saved up everything to be able to spend at this current point as well as to save for the future, and they're going to realize that sooner or later it's not really worth it, what everything they thought it was. So I have an article here from the Telegraph. It's called The World's Least Valuable Currencies. I'm going to dive into that one, and it gives you an idea of the 10 currencies we're going to be talking about that surround me right now. And then the next article here is from themoneycontrol.com, and it's on the whole situation of last week, how Venezuela, the authorities there devalued their currency, which even puts the citizens in a more even tighter crunch. And then the next one here is just a article from Dollar Today, and it actually gives you an idea of what's happening down there right now as we speak, how people are basically starving and they're rioting and they're talking about changing the constitution, and it's just a real mess down there. And it all has to do with the idea that there's too much debt that can't be repaid, therefore the currency is basically worth nothing. And then the very last article here is from CNN Money, and it's on Venezuelans are losing weight amid food shortages and skyrocketing prices. So real briefly, want to go through the various currencies here. And the very first one is the Zimbabwe dollar, which is not really in circulation anymore. But yet, if you're familiar with that, about 7-8 years ago, they went through a hyperinflation there, where, as you see, my man here is holding up a $10 trillion note based upon the fact that it was just hyperinflated to the point where, it's absolutely worth nothing. So the next one here, it's a, it's a Uzbekistan Som, and it says, following independence from the Soviet Union in 1991, Uzbekistan initially continued using the ruble. It says, however, in 1994, a Som was introduced from a starting rate of 7 per unit per dollar. It depreciated rapidly. It says, at present, the 5,000 Som note is the largest available, although a 10,000 note is being introduced. So here we have the Cambodian Rial. It says the Rial was introduced in the 1980s, but like many countries with a weak currency, the US dollar is Cambodia's unofficial second currency. It says both Rial and dollars can be found at cash machines. It says a meal out at an inexpensive restaurant typically costs around $2.50. So just another currency that the people really don't even have much confidence in themselves, so they probably tend to use dollars more than anything else. Next one here, the Paraguayan guarani. It says the guarani started life in the 1940s with the largest note size being of 1,000. It says over the years, revisions have added larger and larger notes. The largest note today is 100,000, introduced in the late 1990s. It says 100,000 Guaranian note is enough to buy a 3-course meal for 2 people at a mid-range restaurant in capital city, according to Numbio. Next one here, the Sierra Leone. It says Sierra Leone has long suffered from high inflation due to civil war and economic struggles. As a result, the Leone introduced in 1964 has become continually weaker. So at present, 10,000 Leone banknote is the largest available, equivalent to 1 sterling pound. Here we have the Lyell kip. It says there have been multiple different interactions of the kip, which has been used continuously in Laos since 1952. It says both 10,000 and 20,000 kip notes were introduced in 2003. It says a 50,000 note in 2004 and a 100,000 note equivalent to just 9 sterling pounds in 2010. It says a local beer costs around 77 or 8,200 kips, according to Numbio. So we have the Guinean franc. It says the Guinean franc is known today as the second franc used by the country and was introduced in 1985 to replace the CELI. It says many countries in the region still use the CFA franc, backed by the French Treasury, which is a Guinean franc replaced. So it's, as if it's in this article here, it's not worth much. So it gives you an idea of what it's actually worth. Next one here is Indonesian rupiah. It says that now the third largest valuable currency on the planet, the least valuable currency on the planet. The rupiah was hit hard during 1997 Asian financial crisis. It says today in Indonesia capital, a meal at an inexpensive restaurant typically costs 35,000 rupiah or just £2, according to Numbia. So next one. Belarusian ruble. It says in 1992 it introduced its own currency, started at the 1, 3, 5, 10, 25, and 100 ruble denominations. It says due to rapid devaluation of the currency, the largest banknote now in circulation is 200,000 ruble. Next one here on this list is the Vietnamese dong. It says it only took 2 notes to become a dong millionaire due to the 500,000 note equivalent to around 17 pounds. So basically another high denomination note, not worth anything. So this right here gives you an idea of what's going on globally with these high denomination notes and them not being worth anything. And so here as the article from Venezuela, I'm going to just basically cover this real briefly, but it says crisis hit Venezuela, devalued its currency by 64% in a dollar auction that aimed to stabilize its foreign exchange market, officials said. It says under undervalued official exchange system, the government let investors bid for a dollar at a new higher rate, in which President Maduro said was an effort to undermine the black market. It says the U.S. bill sold for 2,000 bolivars per dollar. And so prior to all of this, the official rate, I believe, was like $6 or $6. So 1 bolivar would get you $6 according to the government, exchange rate. But now they're letting it just basically free fall, or let the investors or those that are doing business there set the price of the bolivar, and it's at 2,000 bolivars to a dollar. And then on the street, on the black market, central bank is, let me see, it says, but rate represented a sharp devaluation compared to the 720 bolivars under the previous system, and still far below the black market rate. It is currently around 6,000 bolivars per dollar. So people on the street using money amongst themselves, it takes 6,000 bolivars just to get $1. Next one here, just the website Dollar Today. And if you were to just take a time and just go through this, you'll see exactly what's happening as a result of all this currency manipulation and devaluation, basically leading to riots in the street, to the point where the government is losing control. People want Maduro out of there, but he refuses to leave. So he's trying to basically rewrite the Constitution, giving him more power. And basically his people are starving, and and this last mass crime, and people are dying because they're looking for answers. And unfortunately their government is not presented to them. They are actually the problem. And then the very last article here is from CNN Money, and it gives you more details as to what's happening because the paper can't purchase anything, so people are starving. And it gives you an idea what's going on. It gives it a story about a young lady there. It says she lives in Merency, an extremely poor neighborhood in the country's capital, Caracas, which suffers from severe food and medical shortages like the rest of the country. It says if the government doesn't provide a subsidized monthly bag of food, everybody would go to hungry. It says skyrocketing prices have made food at a local market prohibitive. It says a monthly food bag is worth 10,000 bolivars or $2.25. Includes rice, milk, pasta, beans, and a few other items. It says a bag of rice at this local store goes for 8,000 bolivars, out of reach for her monthly income of 219,000 bolivars or $49 a month. And so this article is interesting because if you scroll down, it gives you more details and it gives you more figures on the actual dollar amount. And it says here, Venezuela's socialist government, led by President Nicolas Maduro, raised the minimum wage of 60%, up 60% on Sunday. And this article is from earlier in May. It says to 200,000 bolivars, or basically $45 a month. So $45 a month is the minimum wage there that people who are of lower means receive in government aid. And so here it says in March, it said a basket of basic grocery items, including eggs, milk, and fruit, cost 772,614 bolivars, or close to 4 times the monthly minimum wage. And so it gives you an idea of what that looks like here. So it gives you a basic grocery basket saying that, the monthly is 200,000, but yet it actually costs on the street 772,000. So it's a big gap there. A lot of people there can't afford it. So, they go without, or they have to find food by any means they can. So give you another graph here of what in March 2015, it cost 1,100 bolivars for a basket of eggs, and now, as of this past March, closer to 10,000 for that same basket of eggs. Hard to come by. So I just want to share this a quick update with you on what's happening with these currencies, and especially surrounding Venezuela. It's a country that doesn't get much, media attention on the crisis that's happening right now. But yet all this is due to the fact that, there's 456 plus the 30 million Venezuelans. So basically half a billion people, people around the world that are living well below the standards that's sustainable for a decent life, due to the fact the government has overstepped their boundaries and just basically starved their own people by, basically giving people faulty currencies that can't really do much. And so because the economy is unstable, the money's not worth anything. And so people don't have the basics just to survive. And they're working hard every day. They're saving money in pieces of paper that does nothing for them. And so that goes into the whole rethinking a dollar concept, being that these countries here, the only difference between us and them is the fact that they don't have a reserve currency and they can't set the standard or have a unit of measurement of money or currency that people deem as valuable to save, such as those that are, dependent upon using a dollar right now in trade. But yet I believe that day will come to an end sooner than later. And then we here in the developed world, that we who only know Federal Reserve notes, only know the good life based upon the fact that, we have the privilege of having the current reserve currency. When that day comes to an end, it's going to be hard. Similar to what these people are experiencing now, where just the cost of living will go through the roof because there won't be much to purchase. The purchasing power won't be there in the currency, rather. So just want to share my thoughts today. Let me know your thoughts. Leave me a comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts on these currencies, as well as any other currencies that you may be aware of. And if you're new to RTD, click the subscribe button for more news and RTD updates. Look forward to bringing you more news. Thanks.